Somehow, my daughters fell in love with Formula One. I don't know how or why, but I'm not arguing. They may not know wheel, but does anyone?
Hi, and welcome to We Don't Know Wheel F1. I'm Anne.
And I'm Grace. And
Hi, everyone. It's Shelly.
And your girl, Sarah.
we're three sisters and one friend who fell in love with F1. And now we have a podcast where we force all of our friends to listen to us talk about it. And we try to recruit as many people as we can into watching F1,
Into our cult.
into our cult.
We're back from summer break.
How
Woo.
does it feel? Was it a good break or a bad break?
Feels like it's been so long.
I texted Shelly when I was watching Quali because I was like, I feel out of practice. Like, I was not focusing the way I knew I should be focusing. And also I was like, wait, what car? Wait, who is that?
I watched qualifying with mom, and I was like, I thought you watched this regularly because she kept being like, now, why are they doing that? Why are they all waiting for the end, Grace? They're not doing more laps. I was like, what part of qualifying are you normally watching? No.
I don't think Mom
The highlights.
watches qualifying normally
I
unless
know.
one of us is there.
And I'm like, I think that qualifying is often more exciting than the race.
Yeah, I agree.
Even in this case, poor Albon. Let's talk about it. No.
Poor Albon, out qualified by his teammate.
Stop. I loved that. Yeah. The Logan girlies will come for you, Sarah.
They're
They
delusional.
will.
What was the most delusional thing you sent in the chat this week? That Logan was going to Mercedes? No.
That must have been Shelly. That would not have
I
been
said
me.
that one as a joke.
Yeah, I think that was Anne. Not me.
Mercedes seats still unconfirmed.
No, I think it is confirmed now.
Is it confirmed?
Well,
It's not confirmed.
Toto accidentally said this weekend, something about our drivers will be fine. George and Kimmy will be fine. And
That did happen.
Oh,
it's
But
like,
it's not official
it's
yet.
not official, but he basically
confirmed
put it
though.
out. Confirmed / we're always open for Max to come join us.
Stop.
He's still writing that, so
There's always a seat at the barbecue for Max.
I
yes.
feel like Toto has very I just want to be like, I don't think you're realizing that, yes, it worked out with Max, but it could have all gone badly. And they still had to invest a long time in Max before he was a championship winning driver.
Mm-hmm.
So it does
And
kind
also-
of make you be like,
And-
Toto is just as delusional as us. He
yes.
wanted Max. He's like, I wish I called Max that one day he had a bad race. I wish I
Okay.
would have called Yas, all this stuff.
But don't you think? I think that's exactly why they should be signing Kimmy Antonelli.
I think that's why
because-
Toto is so intent on signing Kimmy.
Yeah, they're talking
He's
about him
courting
the way
him.
people talked about Max, and he's like, I missed the boat on Max. I'm not missing the boat on this 17-year-old.
Exactly.
Although he just turned 18, I think. But still shocking, still upsetting.
I guess when I say
Um,
that, I'm just saying I don't feel like he has the insight into it may not at all work out with Kimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, yeah,
he's
That's
definitely.
I also
definitely
think-
true.
I also think that, as much as Toto is determined to get who he thinks is, the absolute best driver, if Max had been in this car the last couple of years, Max would not have been winning races on a regular basis. It's always both the driver and the car in Formula One. You can never disentangle those things. And I think that's part of the reason that, Formula One creates a lot of drama. And it's kind of complicated. And I think it's also a big reason why there's always so much disagreement in Formula One in terms of who actually is the best of the best
driver. Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree.
Number one.
It does seem, yeah, I don't know. Also, to focus on Kimmy over Lewis is interesting to me.
This year, you mean?
We've seen it played out, right? Younger drivers capturing the eyes of team principals and older
Older
drivers.
suitors.
Older
They're
men.
nothing. They're nothing now. But yeah, I mean, I think we all know the Lewis not getting Mercedes, the ambassadorship is kind of wild. Like,
Yeah.
that's actually
It's like,
crazy.
who would have been a better ambassador?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do you not put the time and money to Lewis that he wants to, like, to number one, hold on to him as this like iconic name in the sport and like maintain that iconic partnership between Lewis and Mercedes. And also it kind of like in a way almost felt like Mercedes was forgetting all of the brilliant things that Lewis did after 2 bad years. And it was
Yeah.
arguably 2 bad years because their car was bad. It wasn't Lewis, it was just their car was crap.
Yeah.
I continue to see like these stats about Lewis, and I'm like, he's the freaking GOAT. Like,
I hope you become a
yeah.
Lewis girly, Shell.
I've always been Lewis, but you know, he's kind of I feel like it's kind of weird now, but I put him in a different category of like drivers because he's so rich that like I like him as a driver, but sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, he's just like he's very out of touch now in some ways. And I'm gonna just stick to my Oscar boat where he's just biking around Monaco.
Yeah. Can you believe he had a broken rib? We haven't talked about that yet.
I know.
What was the
Oscar's like
story
the
with that?
king of hiding secrets and just like giving surprises to the world where you're like, what? How did that happen? How did nobody hear about this?
Yeah, I think it's so funny that it continues the lore of getting injured, winning.
Yes.
That I'm like, okay, this is I don't know what I feel about this, but yeah, it was crazy. And I love seeing the comments coming out being like, I thought this was an ultrasound. I thought Oscar was pregnant.
Stop.
It's not the case.
That's some F1 fan fiction right there.
Yeah. I mean, so rewinding back, summer break, any favorite highlights anyone recalls?
Okay. My favorite summer break content was Joe rating other drivers' summer break fashion.
outfits.
Yeah.
That was really
That was
good.
funny. I feel like it was very unplugged from a lot of social media and Formula One during summer break.
I think that the drivers
which
were
Oh,
was
too,
nice.
because there was like
Yeah.
honestly nothing, and then everybody dropped a photo dump on
And
like
it was just like,
Yes.
Tuesday.
and it was all just pictures of them on like tropical vacations.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk
Except
about Lando with
Lewis.
his shirt fully unbuttoned.
that was hot.
No.
I was so unplugged that I like when the news came out about Jack Doohan,
Oh, okay.
about
Okay.
him getting an Alpine seat. I like it didn't even really like register. I saw something later. I was like, wait, Jack Doohan actually got confirmed at Alpine.
You were like, who? Him?
Stop. Him? I'm so excited for him.
Yeah. Did
And
you see
then-
the clip of, I think it was Oscar talking to Jack during like post-race interview? And Oscar said like, hi, Formula One driver, or something like that. It's very cute.
Very high Barbie.
Hi,
Mhm.
Barbie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Did
I
you
interrupted
see
you.
the news about how Mick didn't find out that he didn't get the Alpine seat until he saw on Instagram that Jack had been confirmed?
It's brutal.
That is brutal.
Poor
I
I
Mick.
think that's
feel
how it's
like-
going down, though.
Yeah. Everything's so messy these days. And then Ralph
Mhm.
Schumacher was like, I don't believe that he wouldn't have been told. And I was like, why does he need to speak on that at all?
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
that's
Yeah.
really messy.
Yeah.
Like Ralph is saying he doesn't believe his nephew.
I fear Mick has no seat for next year. And I love Toto being like, I hope that Mick will get a chance to drive.
But not in my car.
Not in my car, but maybe in the Williams when they kick Logan out. And you're like, what?
So
Mm.
honestly, if you had the choice between Mick and Liam Lawson, if Red Bull is willing to lend him for 6 months,
Liam.
Liam Lawson,
Yeah.
Definitely.
he's already proved
Yeah.
himself as a sub.
Yeah, that's the thing. I saw people in the comments of, I don't know, someone had posted about Toto's comment about hoping Mick gets a seat. And then people were like, he's not getting Carlos a seat. And then other people were like, obviously Logan's seat when Logan gets kicked out. And then other people were basically like, it seems like it would be a wash because Mick was incredibly expensive for replacing car parts at Haas. And Logan is also expensive at Williams.
Well, I saw recently that Logan's crash this past weekend costed Williams 1.7 million.
And
And
one crash.
one crash with upgrades. It was bad.
It
And
was bad.
it was a bad crash.
Yeah.
Scary
Yeah.
crash, but also, yes, bad financially. And
So is Checo no longer the bottom of the deconstructors champions?
my thought is the drivers had a good summer break. The only two that came back maybe negatively was Checo and Logan. I think those two, they didn't come back as refreshed as everyone else. But I mean, we technically, sorry, Anne, to pile on, we technically haven't talked about the conspiracy around like Formula One and Disney clause in keeping Checo in Red Bull and having
Yeah.
those sponsors backed by him, which I definitely was so surprised when I saw Checo on my Disney Plus. I was like, what is going on here? I didn't watch it.
Stop.
I tried
Did
looking it up
Disney
and I
Plus
couldn't
it?
find it. And then I saw that it was like it is not in the US.
I have the VPN thing, so I like checked it out. I'm
Oh,
like, this is
that's why.
crazy, and then I
Shelley's
just didn't watch
the-
it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I don't need to
But,
watch this.
I feel like part of the reason I felt so disconnected from Formula One during the break is that besides Jack Doohan, the major news that came out was all in the first 2 days
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
Carlos getting signed at Williams. And then I was convinced, 100% convinced that within 2 days of, I was 100% convinced that Checo, it was going to be announced that he was dropped and that Danny or Yuki was going to be replacing him for the rest of the year.
I do feel like the conspiracy theorists that I see that are saying like he's gonna get dropped after Mexico, I kind of believe.
At that point, is it worth it though? Because there's only like less than 5 races left after Mexico.
Only
I
worth
s-
it for a trial run.
Yes. And I think that
Yeah.
his contract is going to have him being paid out no matter what. So it does
Yeah.
come to a point where you're like, okay, well, let's see who's we should really use next year.
But I was so convinced that I didn't believe it when the news came out that like, oh, Red Bull is saying they're keeping Checo and they told employees they're keeping Checo and like they're making it a big deal that Checo is taking. I did not believe it. I said to Dad, like, I will believe it when Checo's actually in the car at Zandvoort.
And he was.
And he
Okay.
was.
Let me ask
But-
you this. Would you guys go to Zandvoort for a race?
Yes.
It looked fun.
I like that it's on the beach.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
a beach
watching it
town,
like,
and everyone rides their
okay,
bikes.
Okay.
It's
Eco
bikes, scooters,
race.
and public transit. No cars are allowed into the city during the race weekend. I do think that either like Disney or Liberty Media or Carlos Slim, somebody stepped in and said to Red Bull, you have to keep Checo around because all of the money that's going to be lost.
I don't know. Red Bull is like kind of
I don't
falling
know.
apart in front of us.
Also,
Yeah.
like, do you think Christian Horner is like letting people push him around like that?
I think actually,
Yeah.
I don't know actually. I just feel that because Christian is still here, right? That's sort of a elephant in the room.
Yes,
He's
I was
still
going to say,
here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
this keeps us from talking about the Christian of it all because we're talking about
Yeah.
Checo instead.
That's the real conspiracy theory.
That's really dark.
That's the real reason Checo is still around.
You think if Checo was performing at a high enough level, people would still be talking about Christian Horner? I don't. I don't think so. I'm gonna call BS on that. People love to forget that, especially when a team is really successful. So I think if they were having a dream season like last year, people would be talking about it even less, especially if Checo was performing well.
Wait, you think so? I actually think the opposite. I
Yes.
think if Red Bull was way more dominant, like if it was like last year, people would still be talking about Red Bull
Yeah.
because they would be
Not
like,
the
we
media,
need
not like
something to
F1
bring him
media.
down. I don't know. I'm just telling
No.
you what I think.
I disagree.
Us girls. Well, recently, sort of side tangent, I don't know. We didn't really talk about this in the chat because it was still summer break and it was kind of quiet for us.
We shut down the chat during summer
Um,
break. We go on summer break
Yep,
too.
for 2
We
weeks.
also take summer break.
Can't touch it. There was a lot of allegedly cease and desist. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Letters.
Oh, I heard about this
Yes.
to F1 creators.
They're coming at people with F1 in their names, in I don't know,
Oh.
anything of
That
like
could have been
their
us.
like. Well, technically, we do have F1, Formula One or F1 in a name for I think a creator that is like who has a pretty large audience. It's just been, I feel like, a messy, weird season for F1 in general with these different like things going on. And I thought,
I mean,
I-
when is F1 not messy?
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say, I feel like
know.
F1 is very messy. Did you know that like during COVID, when like Carlos and Lando were like they would do live streams from their trailers and they were getting in trouble for live streaming too long on like the track because F1 has limits on like who can broadcast and for what length.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
What was that recent news with the president of F1?
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
there
remember.
was, did some ruling
Oh,
about
yeah, you can't speak
how
out against F1.
drivers can't speak out against stewards,
Yes.
basically.
Because
Swearing less.
No,
I thought it was
think it's
limiting your
both.
swearing and
I think it
how
was
you-
it's
more
like,
like-
the conduct of the drivers, but part of it was definitely like you can't talk bad about the stewards because the stewards are real people and they should not be facing the harassment that they are.
Yeah.
But I feel like the stuff I saw people talking about was like, but it also in essence says you can't speak badly about like
F1 in
F1 or their
general.
rules or the way their rules are applied, which seems
Mhm.
deeply
Yeah.
problematic.
Mhm.
I agree that it's probably reasonable to say like, I don't know, it gets complicated, right? Because you do start to be like, well, there's like criticism and there's harassment, and they're actually different
Yeah.
things.
I
Mm.
agree. I feel like when people who follow Formula One criticize the stewards, it's the stewards as one whole big entity. It's not one specific person. Like individual stewards, from what I've seen, are not being like doxxed and individually harassed. It's just people and drivers complaining about the organization as a whole in the way that it is not super effective.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And obviously drivers have a private space in which to do that in the
Yeah.
drivers union or whatever it's called.
GPDA.
But
are they
we
in
all
a
know that
union?
like
Are they
yeah.
unionized?
Yeah.
They do have a union.
That's
Oh, really?
you remember the meetings that
They
there's
used to
like one or two
broadcast?
videos of
Yeah.
where like someone is talking to all the drivers about like safety things and discussing things that happened the previous race. That's a driver union meeting.
And they stopped broadcasting them because they were saying like that the drivers were getting harassment for bringing things up in those meetings and being like nitpicky, which they're meant to be. This is getting too deep,
Yeah.
you guys. Back to the fun stuff.
We talk about this race
Yeah.
weekend.
Yes.
Everybody got their stroopwafel.
Dun 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 dun.
Everybody,
Yeah.
get your
We did.
stroopwafel.
Sarah and I ate
I have
stroopwafels while we
in my
watched.
cupboard. But I've
We
not
had
eaten one.
them at mom and dad's house while we were
Yeah.
watching,
Oh, fun.
which was
Yum.
delicious.
Any
and patriotic.
special qualifying highlights outside of
The Ferraris did so badly. What was happening to
So
them, Shelley?
badly.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on at Ferrari?
And then the next day they were just like, actually, let's do this.
Maybe the boys were just, maybe they didn't
They
get
were not-
enough sleep on Friday night or something.
Well, I think
That's
I think
conceivable.
it was just a miracle for both of them.
I saw a lot of things online about how Charles should have won driver of the day. And Lando
Hmm.
just won it because he won. They were like, Lando won driver of the day with a DRS pass, which I think is a bad start in a DRS pass, which I think is really funny.
That's pretty
And
good.
I think kind of valid as well. I love Lando. I'm a Lando fan. But
Well,
there's
Sarah,
something going
like,
on with driver of the day. We've talked about it before. I'm going to continue bringing it up because there's something
something's
going
fishy.
on.
Recount the votes.
Charles had a really good race.
He did.
Charles had
there-
a really good race. He was back in form, Shelley. You should be pumped about this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect it. Honestly, at that point, I was low-key kind of rooting for Oscar to overtake him, but
This is blowing my mind.
it's
Something's happened in the Shelley
something
camp.
has happened slowly over the course of this season or this podcast. I am now Oscar's my number one.
This is Shelley's official press statement about
Oscar's now
her
number
ranking.
one.
Yeah,
We
but
need to do that. You know the meme where it's like friendship with Leclerc over new friendship with Oscar.
I will always have love for Charles in my heart, Ferrari always in my heart. But I recently saw something that was like how people say, even if you're not a Ferrari fan, you are a Ferrari fan. People say, even if you're not an Oscar fan, you are an Oscar fan.
Stop.
Same. So I've been definitely getting deep into that over the summer. Just I
I'm
mean
gonna
his,
put
She's
one.
watching all the edits.
well, and his mom came on to a podcast which
Yeah.
presented a
Like-
lot of Oscar lore, which is very interesting.
The clips I saw from that were hilarious.
Yeah. And then this weekend, the family came out with Brat shirts, which was amazing too. So, not Oscar's best race, but I'm happy for Charles and Ferrari. That was, yeah. I remember watching it live and seeing Fred's face when they were doing the podium. And I'm like, is he crying? I can't read what's happening with Fred. Is he okay? Is he shocked? What is happening? So, but
What did you guys think of the trophies?
loved
Oh,
it.
I need to talk about them.
Yeah,
What
I was
was-
doing
okay.
research today.
I was about to say I didn't go and look it up. What was written on all of them?
So the trophy, the shape itself was like a reference to the very first Dutch Grand Prix trophy, and it was made out of porcelain. And then
It was like
It was
paint
like-
a pot.
shut up.
Right.
And then it was weird because it was like a collaboration, right, between this like porcelain traditional pottery place and then this musician, pop star, who then did all of the like decorations. Actually, the constructor's trophy was an artist who
Yeah,
collaborated
the
and did
constructors looked
a
really good. I
cool,
liked
very
that one.
cool surreal design.
Yeah.
The other one was like handwritten, like things that one
was like-
gives up to be able to be a competitive race.
Interesting.
Artistically, I feel like it had the vibe of like you're in high school art class and there's that bro-y guy who's just sliding by on like he's funny and the art
Making
teacher thinks
art
he's funny.
about football.
Yes. That was the energy it was giving. But the constructors one I thought was really cool.
I'm gonna be
And I wasn't
controversial.
against it. I wasn't like, oh, I hate this, but I was like, there might have been other artists who deserve to have their work on display.
I think that's a really good take. I definitely agree with you there. I think there are really interesting contemporary artists that they could have partnered with, contemporary visual artists who could do like maybe something somewhat similar, because what I liked about it was the like juxtaposition, the old shape, and then the like new symbolism and imagery on the
But it was
shape.
literally they just wrote things in little bubbles.
I even holistically like looking at it and looking at Lando's pictures with it, I kind of dug it. I was
was
like,
into it.
it's weird, it's camp, it's like ugly, cool. But I do think if you're gonna do a partnership like that, like why are you partnering with a pop star? I don't know.
Okay, Shelly, give us your
Yeah,
art hot
Shelley.
take.
I
What do
just
you
saw
think?
it on, okay, I didn't know too much about it. So I low-key was like, oh, this is clearly something collaborated with children. like, like they got kids. Like,
Okay, actually though, in the same vein, I thought it was like a collaboration maybe with drivers. That was the
I-
other thing I thought it was. And that's when I was interested because it was listing all of the things that you have to give up. It's like holidays and I don't know, other after school
Early morning, yeah,
activities,
yeah.
early mornings, your diet, like all of these things. I was like, oh, they asked drivers this question. That would have been interesting. Or like
Yeah.
ask young karting drivers what their answers would
Yeah.
be. That's
That
interesting.
would have been cool.
It was close, but then it was like missing an actual connection that to make it make sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I respect them for like going out on a limb and doing something totally different from anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the trophies are straight up ugly. Like this weird modern ones. I don't
the
get
ones
it.
that
It
look like
doesn't work for me.
computers.
If
Well,
they're
guess
lighting
what?
up the necklace one.
I think my favorite trophy is the Hungarian trophy.
Oh, always good.
Yeah.
Well,
Always.
I think we all were trying to submit a trophy design for Abu Dhabi, but we all did not do it. I was trying to, but I kept pushing it
forgot.
off. So next year, you might, if we're really gunning for it, you
Maybe
might see
this should
ours.
be a recurring segment is like trophy watch because there's
Trophy
an
Watch 2024?
opportunity. I don't hear anybody else talking
No.
about trophies.
I like that. We'll bring it.
At
We'll
least
bring
the
it.
interesting ones.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Lando won by such a huge gap.
Lando won.
He won. Can you believe? By such a huge gap.
A max
And when
gap.
they're in the
He
cool down
Verstappen,
room.
Verstappen.
Yes, he did. And when Max and Charles were in the cool down room and Charles was like, that was a big gap. And Max was like, yeah, like 20, 22 seconds. And I was like,
Both of their faces in that moment was so
Yes.
funny to watch.
also, Sarah and I watched together with a friend and we were watching is that the American version with DC?
Mhm.
Okay. We watched the
The
American
F1
version.
TV version.
F1 TV version. And oh my gosh, I just feel like sometimes it's trash. Because
Fish.
the way that DC was like Lando can't hang, like he couldn't even start. He can't even keep up, like
Doesn't have
And
what
then
it takes.
by the end they were like he has been so dominant this whole race from beginning to end.
Not a
He
not a
is-
single misstep.
The audacity of men, honestly. I was sitting through the race, like they're saying all this stuff, and I'm like, I know by the end you're gonna be completely flipped. Like, I was just like, this is actually crazy. And then they still go on their little reminiscence stories that I'm honestly over with. I'm done. I don't need to hear about it.
Honestly,
Shelley's ready to switch
I'm
to
on
the
the other
international
side.
sky.
Then you'll have to listen to Martin Brundle.
no. The reminiscing about racing in the 80s is the only thing I enjoy about that commentary. Like, give me the Delulu. Give me your
Yeah.
crazy
Tell me
stories.
about how you did coke before you got in the car.
Tell me
and then
about how when you were a star. I want to hear it, baby.
the star. And then Ruth pops in for her like 2-minute segment, and I just want to be like, She is the only one here who has like anything insightful to say. Every time they're like,
Yes.
and at this point, he's in, what do they say, like net third or
Net
something?
third.
And you're like, it means nothing. You have no idea what's about to happen. Don't tell me net third. Like, stop. And Ruth
Yeah.
comes in like, now the teams are deciding between a 1 and a 2 stop. But I'm like, oh, finally,
Just
someone
get
with
Ruth in the
sense.
box.
Ruth
Mhm.
in the box. Okay.
I said that like 2 races ago.
I know.
Yeah,
And
we're
I
all in
was
agreement.
told
We
she
all
needs more
know.
time.
No,
She
Wait,
needs
who
to
said
develop
that?
her skills as a broadcaster
We're saying
more.
No,
I was
no.
told I
We're
was delusional.
we're
Sorry,
saying
Shelley.
F1 is acting like that. Like we need to give her a test trial. But obviously us
We believe.
online, we believe in her. We want
We
her all the
believe.
time.
I'm
But-
obsessed with Ruth's social media now too. Like the comments that are in it. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. What can I say? I
Well,
can't.
let's make a reel. We'll make a reel about it and we'll post it and we'll see if we can get a little traction. And then we'll tag F1 and say,
Tag
everybody
Ruth.
wants Ruth in the commentary box. The women want Ruth in the commentary box.
Get
The men want
DC
Ruth in the
out.
commentary box. She's the only
Stop.
one with anything interesting to say.
Just put her in with DC
Yeah.
I'd like
and the
DC.
others.
Take
Get
Julian Palmer
Jolien
out.
Palmer out. Close the door on your way out.
I was looking at her comment because she posted pictures from the Dutch GP and she's like in her all orange, which I loved. And then she was like, check out the only drivers that my friends wanted to get a picture with. And it was Jackie Stewart, which is very cute. And then in the comments, there were just a bunch of people being like, I love you, Ruth. And then someone was like, the best picture I got from my weekend at the F1 race was with you, Ruth. And I was like,
Aw.
I've also like, I love too when like the commentators or the media are posting their summer break. So she went on her honeymoon to Tahiti.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need this content and I love it.
She's just a girl.
She's just a girl.
She's just like us.
Mhm.
Also, I think that her wedding cake was just like Ruth Buscombe. Like her wedding cake was like, you go girl, Ruth Buscombe.
That's what I need.
What?
It's a bachelorette party cake.
I think you might be right.
And then
But
I
I'm
think her
obsessed.
friends went to the race and they were like, well, we don't know what team's merch to wear because you don't work for a team anymore.
Yes.
So instead they wore, I think it was hats from her bachelorette party that just said her name on them
That is
to the
amazing.
I'm
race.
obsessed.
So cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love. Did you know she's married to a guy who used to work for Mercedes?
Oh, really?
I did a deep dive this week.
Grace.
I
We're not
may
creepy.
have done a deep dive. So people love me. Yeah, they are. Oh my gosh. Ruth Buscombe slay.
Ruth Buscombe slay. That's what it was.
Obsessed.
She gets it. You need your own merch. You don't need to be wearing team
You need
merch.
your own merch. So true.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was like kind of a boring race though.
It wasn't the worst, but
There
it
was
wasn't
some
great.
interesting midfield stuff happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The midfield had some good passes. It's
That
like a
I kept getting
crazy
annoyed.
3-car pass.
Kevin Magnussen, yes.
I
That
still
was
don't understand what
hilarious.
happened. I was like, he must have car issues. But he was just slow.
Just old tires.
It was just
What are you gonna do?
what are you gonna do?
Um,
Oh, we haven't talked about Haas getting like stuck in the Netherlands.
And you want to bring a report? Because I don't
think
really
they're out
understand
now.
what's going on.
They paid $9 million to Uralkali, or however you say that company.
Broccoli.
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 The Fighting
so they
Uruguay.
paid.
The Fighting Urukai, yes.
I think the final
Might as
report
well be.
was it was paid, but there were still documents that needed to be signed and finalized. So that's why Haas had to park basically and wait for that finalization to occur before they could start moving their stuff to Monza. So
Yes, which they got this morning.
exactly.
So
But it's a
they've moved
mess.
now.
Well, Shelley suggested that maybe they need to call Gunther.
So
Not to bring my personal life into this, but I've been in positions where a boss leaves and then things really blow up. And I'm going to say it's usually because of that boss. I don't think they need to be calling Gunther in to solve this problem. I think Gunther left this problem behind knowing full well what he was leaving.
Oh,
When I told Paul about this, his first reaction was, wait, how is it that like a Russian oligarch company is able to like demand this money from Haas when like they should be sanctioned and the rest of the world like wouldn't recognize them in a court of law? And he looked it up, and it was through a court system in Switzerland, and
mhm.
the Swiss are neutral.
Yeah.
So they would actually
Yeah.
recognize this case
Yeah.
from Russia.
That's interesting.
So
That is
crazy.
interesting.
Well, good luck to Esteban.
Good luck to them all. Best wishes.
To them
Best
all.
Poor
regards.
Ollie.
Poor
Oh,
Ollie is
yeah.
right,
Oh.
actually.
Oof.
Yeah.
He just needs a
That's-
team to show what he can do. It doesn't matter the team too much.
Well, it kind of matters.
Hopefully.
It kind of matters.
And his teammate's gonna be Esteban, and
I
it's all gonna be a vibe.
feel like
Okay.
I feel worse for him for the fact that he's going to be teammates with Esteban than what's happening with the Haas.
Yeah, agree.
You kind of know what you're getting into signing with Haas. But then
Mhm.
you don't know who your teammate's
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like it used to be that the junior drivers would drive for Alfa Romeo, which isn't necessarily like always so much better, but I feel like does have more of a stable vibe to it. But now that they're Audi, I feel like you don't get in there anymore. So
Do you
Mm.
guys all hear that Mattia Binotto
yeah,
is working for Audi?
I felt like I saw some people being like, so obviously Carlos is not going there because of Mattia, but I always thought that Carlos and Mattia were friendly.
I have no idea.
I didn't see anything that they were not friendly.
I always was seeing stuff that people thought he actually favored Carlos over Charles.
I try not to infer about people's personal relationships through the internet.
I
Personally.
do remember in
I don't always trust
22,
my algorithm because it tells me
were-
what I want it to.
there were a lot of Charles fans in 2022 who were upset that
Mm.
Ferrari was not prioritizing Charles.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair,
They were
was
not.
if they wanted Charles to have a chance to try and beat Max in the championship, they needed to have done that.
They
Okay,
should have had better strategy if they wanted a chance.
Oh, that
speaking
too.
of which, I'm seeing a lot of rumblings on social media. Shelley, I'm sure you have a take on this about McLaren team orders because now Lando's not really within like shouting, spitting distance, but there's
Here's
a possibility of that happening. And so people are like, they need to start doing team orders very intensely at McLaren.
Here's the stat. If Lando wins everything from here on out and gets the extra point for fastest lap, and Max
crazy.
finishes second, Lando wins the Drivers' Championship by 1 point.
But if Max
What?
if
Is
Red
that why he
Bulls-
went for the fastest lap at the end?
Well, this is like after the race was done. That
you always
stat
go for
came
the
out.
fastest lap. If you stop going for the fastest lap, you're no longer a racing driver.
Okay.
Stop.
But I mean, it is. I mean, to me, hearing that stat and seeing McLaren's car right now, it's still possible.
But not if
Hey.
Oscar's winning too.
Very true.
I've heard differently from McLaren that they're letting their drivers both drive and race.
Personally,
So
You've heard
who knows
personally?
what's gonna happen?
Did you have a conversation with
I think
Zach
it came I think it came from Zach or Andrea that they're letting both of their drivers race. So it is what it is. I don't have high hopes, you know, that Oscar is going to be like number one this year specifically. But I mean, yeah, people are doing the math for Lando, and I'll be happy to see anyone other than Max win this year. So
I mean, to be perfectly honest, Oscar is in a tough spot long term. He's in like a Carlos
Mm-hmm.
sort of situation long term, where it's like they have two very equally matched drivers, but McLaren kind of has their golden boy already. So then it's like,
Mhm.
is Oscar gonna like try to push him out, or is he gonna try to find something better? Obviously, there's nothing better right now. He's in the best possible position, but that might
Or it
change.
it could end up being a very like Lewis Nico Rosberg situation
It could
Right. It could
because
go
they
that way.
are close enough to like equally matched
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
right now.
Mm.
Who knows
Right
what the
now.
future holds?
Yeah.
I will
I will
say my mom was like, she's such a flip-flopper because she's watching the race and she's like, you know what? I love Zach Brown. I love his American enthusiasm. He just supports his drivers. I was like, what about Daniel?
Mom, when she gives opinions, especially about Formula One stuff, it's always like so like 100% in her opinions for each.
just
I
don't say that too loud,
appreciate
Mom.
the conviction,
Calm down.
and I appreciate the ability to change one's mind and immediately forget what happened last year. That's a good skill to have. One I'm hoping to develop. And I'm on my way.
I was going to say, I had a feeling that Lando could have this race this past weekend. I think he came back from summer break, all healed up. I saw funny
Shirtless.
memes, shirtless, people saying and trying to do a PSA. Lando is not mixed. He is just a white man with olive skin tone. And I
Yes.
thought that was funny. And he is still single, apparently, which is
He's fully in his power.
he's in
We're
his
watching the
power,
race and
yes.
Sarah goes, I think he started therapy over summer break and it's really working for him.
We love that, Lando.
And when I say therapy, I mean sports psychology.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes.
And nothing more.
And yeah, I felt like it was I just felt like the vibes are right. And I was like, I think Lando can take this. It was unfortunate the start. I know that he just has yet to get that start, which is
Well,
fine.
I feel like it's the car because both of them
Yeah.
are, they
Maybe,
cannot get
yeah.
off that line.
Yeah,
Let's be
would agree.
honest, it doesn't seem to matter right now.
it doesn't. No, that's the small thing that all the commentators pick up on and right until the last lap and he wins. And they're just like,
Yeah.
we knew this.
We knew.
We
He's
knew.
been there from the beginning. And you're like, well, also it's like it's a consistent problem with the car. Like they are harping on like it's Lando, but it's like neither of them are getting very good starts with that car. It
Mm.
seems like a
Yeah.
weakness of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
saw
But the only weakness of the car, really. So
I think both Max and Lewis fans complaining about how Formula One Twitter account put out a like picture of Lando, and the caption said something about like 22-second win, and then in the picture it said like dominant statement or something like that. And the responses I kept seeing were basically like, why is Lando getting all of this acclaim for a 22-second win when this used to be normal for Max? Was the implication.
this should be normal. I mean, to be
Or
fair,
it's more just like
it's
they were
only his
complaining about the
second
fact
win
that
ever.
Yeah.
yeah, and they were just like complaining about the fact that Lando was getting this recognition when Max and Lewis had not gotten the same type of recognition. I think it was more people who didn't like Lando than were like fans of Lewis
It's
and Max.
always those people who are the loudest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
But I mean, Max this race, very demure, very cutesy. He was doing yoga. He was in a very peaceful mind state. So, I don't think I mean, I'm not sure when we're going to see Mad Max, maybe in the next race, but it's getting
Yeah, he
What?
was not very
he has
racy.
not gone away, I don't think.
I feel like after qualifying, Max and Lando were like, they would not look at each other. I'm just saying. And then
Just saying.
I'm just saying. And then Lando saying simply lovely after he won. I was like,
That was pointed. That was
Thing
directed.
happened.
yeah, wild. There
Man.
was something else here's the most unhinged thing I've done during summer break.
Are you
Carlos
sure you
Sainz-
want to tell us
Yeah, I'm going to
on
tell
this
you
podcast?
because
Okay.
yeah,
On the
the
record?
people need to know. On the record, I did look up the boat that the Sainzes used this summer. I swear, I think it was all like a paid ad because both of them posted that boat a lot. And then Carlos Sainz Sr. was like, it was so fun being on, and then name dropped the boat. And so I was like, I gotta look up the
Yeah.
boat. It's a very interesting looking
Well-
boat. It almost looks like a huge pontoon, but it's a yacht.
A little gifted situation.
Yeah. And I was like,
As if
how
they
smart.
need that.
They need that, Sarah.
Why do the rich people get gifted? Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Hmm.
Give me a yacht vacation.
You're turning into a Bernie bro, Sarah. The rich get richer.
The rich get free yachts,
hmm
and I get nothing. Just a puny little cabin on a lake.
Sarah and I were talking about Ruth Buscombe's honeymoon, and Sarah goes, another way to tell we're in different tax brackets.
They were on like 3 different islands. They were jet setting.
Yeah, they did a whole trip to Hawaii too.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I
Yeah.
wonder if she makes good money as an F1 TV host. I'm sure it's good money, but is it like money, or is it
I have
just
no
like,
idea.
good money? Who knows?
Who
Or
knows?
as like an engineer. That's just a normal job.
I don't know.
Maybe she's independently wealthy.
Nepo.
Wait, whose race
Yeah,
engineer has an
think she's
Olympic
that
medal? Is it Oscar?
Yes, it's Oscar.
That's so unhinged.
Let me.
Motorsport in the Olympics?
He was a rower.
No, I think
He has multiple
He-
Olympic medals, I think.
he was a rower.
He was a rower.
Maybe I need a gold medal to be able to get a job at F1.
Who was loving Suni Lee at the Minnesota State Fair?
Yeah,
Loving.
me.
Speaking of gold
Absolutely.
medals.
Speaking of, I
Well,
think Daniel Ricciardo should come to the Minnesota State Fair. I wonder if we could make
That
that
would be
happen
A
That's
vibe.
actually a
That'd be
great idea.
amazing.
vis-a-vis social media.
I feel like he
and
would
going
make a
viral.
whole 10-minute YouTube video out of that experience.
Mhm.
but I fear that it would interfere with his driving schedule. So it may have to be after he retires.
Maybe if they add a Chicago race to the calendar,
Stop.
that would be a good opportunity.
There you go.
Just something to keep filed away in the old noggin for later.
Anything else?
What's the next race? I can't
I
even
used to
remember.
have them all on
Monza.
my phone,
Yeah.
and now it's
Oh, Monza,
gone.
of course.
Of course.
I did see someone say Lando won in Miami, and then the week after, Charles won in Monaco. Lando has now won at Zandvoort. The next
Okay,
race is
the
Monza.
F1 fans
F1
love this.
Fans love a pattern. It's like it's just
No.
a pattern, you guys. There's no curses. There's nothing. It's nothing.
Athletes are
being
the most
superstitious.
superstitious
Yeah.
people. So
They are.
we'll see what happens, Sarah.
It's cars going around and around.
Some
And
magic
people who
too.
built those cars. It's science, technology, engineering, and math, and also the human body, and that's what it is.
And
nothing more.
magic.
And a little bit of Disney magic.
Here's the real
Yeah,
question.
how?
At
Okay.
what point do we all become Lando fans to try and see someone who's not Max win a driver's championship.
I've been a Lando
I
fan.
am.
Yeah.
I think maybe you're not. That's like you're
That's a you
exposing.
problem.
And it's fine. The girls are intense in the Lando world. So,
And the
Mm.
boys.
oh yes.
And the
both.
boys.
The boys, let's be real. I feel like it's so easy to be like, it's the girls love Lando because the girls do love Lando. But if
Lando's
you go
a
to a
bros
race,
bro.
the boys love Lando too.
He is
The
a
boys are
frat
out
brother.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. He is.
Mm.
He's from Bristol. Is he from Bristol?
I think so.
That sounds right.
He's a lad.
He's a
I think.
lad.
Yeah.
He could be on Love Island
He's got the chat.
with the chat.
Bents. He's got the bents. I'm Lando. I'm an F1 driver. And I'm here to find the love of my life.
I feel like Mick should go on Love Island. Oh, he has a girlfriend, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fernando,
I was thinking
once he retires.
who was the really Nicholas Latifi?
I think he has a very serious girlfriend, I fear.
I'm not really keeping up with him socially.
I know. I want to know what he's up to.
He's on yachts,
Hanging
I
out.
think.
He's on the outs.
No, did he go to school?
I don't
Like
know.
Nick DeVries.
To like no, but to
Nick
like actually get
DeVries
a
would
like
be really good.
MBA or something.
It's the most boring choice they can make is to go back to school to
He
get
doesn't
an MBA.
need an MBA. It's like you've been an F1 driver.
You're
You
rich.
can
You
just
have
do
a
anything you
super
want.
license.
Start a
Use it.
business.
Super license. I do feel like an MBA is like such a boring choice for these rich guys to get. It's like,
They just pay for it. They don't actually go to class,
yep.
Well,
Lando
Said the
on
quiet part out loud.
Hmm.
Lando on Love Island would be the most unhinged thing.
I do think he's actually the right choice, personality
He
wise.
is. He'd be
But
such
he's
good
probably a little
TV.
bit too famous now.
He would like
If he had only done one season, it would be like, yep, absolutely.
When season
Of
of racing.
F1.
I feel like a bunch of the girls would be obsessed with him and just like not understand. And he was like, without realizing it, he would just like mess with all of them and not actually care about all of them. Except he just would want to like hang out with his buddies, and it would just be a whole gigantic mess, unintended by Lando, but a gigantic mess.
Emotionally, yeah, not available.
I
He's go ahead,
agree.
Grace.
No, I feel like we are witnessing the slow disintegration of the close friendship between Lando and Max.
You're like, can we talk about Lando and Max once more, actually?
Mhm.
What's their friendship name?
Mando.
There isn't one, but it's
There isn't
interesting
one.
that there isn't, because it's been interesting to see.
I'm not saying like maybe it's not disintegrating. Maybe they're just like, okay, we need to have some emotional distance so we can be friends at the end of this. I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I fear.
At least they're not teammates.
True.
I don't think they could handle being teammates.
Mm-mm.
Well, this was a good pod. We're saying goodbye to Logan. We
Whoa.
won't see him. Is that hot? Yeah.
Are you saying he's not coming back?
James is actively saying, I saw an
He is.
article, right? He said we're looking to maybe replace him for the next race.
Oh, I didn't know that
What?
was legit.
Is that right, Anne?
Who would they replace
I-
him with?
I didn't see a direct
Liam.
quote from James.
Maybe
I just saw rumors.
Okay, but that would suck for Liam to do what, like 10 races? I guess it wouldn't suck for Liam. Any time in the F1
needs a
car is
seat.
good.
Yeah.
And then he would show off some skills, and then maybe he's looking at does anybody have an open seat? Just Mercedes?
B carb.
What open seat does
V-carb.
V-carb have?
Oh, well,
Danny's
yeah,
not
they have a
confirmed.
unconfirmed seat. You're right. You're right, Len. Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think Checo is going to be at Red Bull next year.
She's saying it now. She's saying it.
I thought he was going to be gone already.
Who
I
do
don't
you
know
guys
why you're
think is going to
surprised
win
by
next
this.
week?
What?
Who do you think is going to win next week?
Oscar.
Lando.
You guys are so delusional.
Oscar. Maybe Charles.
I do think Ferrari really prioritizes trying to win at its Italian races.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say, wait, you're saying Carlos,
Mm-hmm.
Charles, actually, or Oscar?
Oscar.
I'll take Charles.
Lando.
Oh.
Okay, what do we get if we win this bet?
I will mail you a stroopwafel
Perfect. A
Not a Culver's
stroopwafel.
coupon.
and a Culver's coupon. But I'll have to go and buy a kid's meal first. Okay.
Okay.
If you can remember who you said, that is, and I probably won't.
I will.
I
Okay.
will.
Mhm.
Okay. Great.
Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. Like,
Arrivederci.
comment, subscribe. Tell your friends and family about the pod.
Shout out to all our listeners.
We'll see you in Monza.
Yeah, see you on Monday.
Vroom
Bye.
vroom.